the 1 and the 2. Hey guys, RTG here, back with the second episode of our venture into humankind. So last time I gave you guys the rundown and we started our adventures trying to be the best there ever was. We achieved our first era star, picked our Neolithic trait. We are trying ever so hard to get this last growth star before we advance into our next nation. And in the hunt for the last remaining 3 food, we were attacked by a bear. And this bear is slightly stronger than us, not infinitely. So what I'm going to try to do is open the battle. Okay, since we were attacked, we now have to defend this point. If we defend it, if we lose it for a number of turns, I don't remember how many, we lose the fight. Or we can just straight up win the fight. But this is the whole capture the flag element I was explaining last time. So, understood is basically saying this is our flag and that's the objective. Let me quickly... Okay. Violent pursuits. There's a reason I tried to get this. So, violent pursuits. The last winter was especially harsh. The ground hard and the frost chilling to the bone. In the heart of the settlement, the tribe huddled close to share warmth through the coldest days. But for some, it wasn't enough. Some needed to get their blood flowing, and they found a means to do so through violent games, grappling, fighting, contests of strength and endurance. One contest where opponents fought with hide-bound fists has gained quite a following, to the point that the outpost's usual foraging missions are under threat. What is your say on this new pursuit? So the tribe has basically discovered boxing, and they want my opinion on what we should do. Okay, so we can encourage it. We lose food per turn. Okay, so we lose food per turn in our outposts. That's a straight up loss. And we get, for me as the leader, 20% experience on creating units on all cities. So every city from here on out gets 20. Every unit created gets 20 experience, which is a very good deal. We get bountiful on our outpost, which is 5 food per turn for 10 turns, so it helps it to grow faster. We can codify it and get domestication research, 25% boost, which at normal, which in the slower speeds, where things go from taking 10 turns to taking like 20, 25% boost is a lot of time. But I think I'm going to encourage it. We lose a bit of food, but stronger units in all cities can't really beat that. Okay, I was kind of hoping that would have given us some sort of unit damage boost, but it did not. So I'm going to manually battle this. I'm going to stand here. And here gives us 2 advantages. One, since we're being attacked, I'm not sure how the first round is going to go, which is pretty bad. But we are uphill, and the bear is attacking from rivers, which is a combat penalty. Applies a heavy combat penalty. So we should hopefully be able to... Yeah. Okay, so crossing a river, reduce combat. In forests, only visible to adjacent units and has increased combat strength against ranged attacks. So we are fighting melee, so okay. This seems like a very dangerous attack. We get 4 from high ground, but we lose 2 from being damaged. That is, the bear is at 11. It loses 2 from the river, loses 3 from the river, and an additional 1 from being damaged. So we are at 12. He's at 7. Or we can straight up just defend, and defending gives us additional it gives us additional combat strength, but only for this turn and only while we're being attacked, which is fine because we are at an advantage already, and this bear is just going to constantly attack. So in order to save okay, so this fight seems like suicide, even though I think if we just had a turn more to heal, this would be easy. But right now this looks like mutually assured destruction. Like dead if we do, dead if we don't. We currently have 4 HP, and I don't think, even if we defend, I don't think we're going to survive. So banzai. Both units lost, which means we have to stay and try to gather even more food. Okay. Oop. You know what? This might work. If I move this tribe out and get these guys to settle somewhere. Ooh, this next to this elephant is like decent food. I want to settle somewhere in this territory with the horses, but I can't get a good look, so send these guys up onto the river. Some more food opportunities there, and I'm gonna fight this elephant. Well, mammoth. You guys move here. Deployment. The mammoth chose to stay there, and even though a mammoth is stronger than our units individually, we can fight it as a team. Okay. It's going to attack us that way. Okay, we sadly cannot flank it from where it is. Or what we can do, we can move these guys back and these guys defend. Let's go ahead and attack us. And now, if you can freely move your units and then attack. But if you use up all your movements, I think your units go automatically into defense. And then you can move and attack, but you cannot attack and then move unless your unit has a special ability to do so. Okay, so get a step back. These guys. These guys are going to defend. You guys should also defend. 20 food. That is a instant boost back up. And these guys don't have movement. Okay. It seems like we're being attacked by a bear. Our outpost grew in population, so we are currently up to population of 1. So, as I said, the growth stars encapsulate your cities and all your army. So, since our outpost has grown a population, we have now reached a total. Let's see. Okay, we have taken the lead in fame, but as you can see, second place has already gone to the next era. So we should try and do that quickly. So we currently only need to finish one more fight to advance to the next. Well, we can advance anytime, but we can get one more star and get an additional 20 arrows, 20 fame. Like, you guys have to kind of balance the pros and the cons, because currently we're staying back and giving the opponents the opportunity to go up in eras, select civilizations we maybe wanted to have selected, but since I haven't taken a look at them, I'm not fully sure what all is there, since there are 2 content packs. So we're just going to get what's there and make a decision based off of that. So I'm fine. I don't have a civilization in mind, so I'm fine with them taking the AI taking whatever they choose. I'm currently trying to maximize fame, but in the other eras, fame deteriorates. So what is worth 100 fame when you first choose a civilization is worth maybe 80 a few turns later, and I think it goes down to a minimum like 25% once you get to like the end. But I don't remember the exact numbers, but it's an issue for another day. Okay. This, well, we can't even see what's trying to attack us. We just know. Oh yeah, it is a bear. We have high ground, but this high ground isn't the safest, because there is adjacent even ground without a river, and that is the reason this high ground isn't really safe. So we're going to do what I call a tactical retreat. There's no disadvantage of running from. There's no disadvantage for running from wild animals. There is a penalty when you run from other empires, but that's for later us to figure out. Okay. Where should we attack this there from? If we attack it from this way, it can retreat to high ground that's on a river, but we can also start the fight on high ground that's on a river. If we start from here, we are on minimum even ground with no possibility of gaining high ground on the deer. I think this is also the same level terrain, and then the deer has the ability to retreat into high ground. So I think straight on is the best way. Once we defeat this deer, and your battle. This deployment seems. Wait. Swap you guys. Not swap it. Swap you guys. You are the least health, but you have high ground, so it's fine. Deployment. Okay. Worst case scenario. So you guys step back. You guys. Okay, this is a flank attack. Flanks give an extra combat bonus. If I were to attack it from, it's not giving me the option because this is clearly the best attack, so I'm going to just take it. And yeah, it seems like this is considered fairly even ground. Okay, this seems like a safe attack. And this is a finishing blow. Okay. that is the hunting star. It would have been cool to gain an additional person, but I don't think it really matters right now, because I think with all the stars complete, we are at 60 fame, which is well above everyone else. Most of our enemies haven't even gotten 1 star. The one enemy that has gotten a star has already selected their new civilization and doesn't seem to be a worry. So, this is the civilization selection screen. Well, culture selection, sorry. Historically, empires have grown from both their idiosyncrasies and the diversity of cultures they have encompassed or come in contact with. In humankind, you get to combine cultures to create your own empire with more than 1 million possible combinations. There are cultures you can choose from the ancient era. Take time to browse through them at your own pace, and then we can select to find more information. Okay. So, there are also cultural affinities. Cultural affinities are bonuses each civilization, each different culture has. So, the Bantu are a expansionist culture. These guys are builders. The Assyrians are also expansionists. The Zhao are esthete. So, and Babylonians are scientists. So, there are 7 different affinities: esthete, agrarian, builders, expansionist, merchant, militarist, and scientists. And each affinity gets extra fame from getting error stars in that affinity. So, the Bantu. Okay, this is the cultural legacy trait. So, we got one as the nomadic tribe. The legacy traits stick around with you no matter what culture you choose going forward. So, as with the plant lore, we always get the extra food on population. So no matter what civilization what culture we pick afterward, boom, we're always going to get that food. So the Bantu get 2 influence per number of adjacent empire territories. So 2 influence per adjacent empire. So I think that means enemy empires, either friendly, neutral, ones you're at war with, or they're almost city-state-esque ones. I don't remember the term for, but when they are adjacent to your borders, you get an extra 2 influence per turn. And again, if you select this legacy trait, even if we move from the Bantu to another civilization, to another culture, you still get this trait. Okay, and then these are the culture's emblematics. You have an emblematic unit and an emblematic building. The emblematic unit can be built as long as you are the culture, and I believe if you switch cultures, you can continue building the unit until they are rendered obsolete by some advancement in science. Okay, and then the emblematic building can be built once per territory. So you can have a city with multiple territories, and inside each territory you can build the emblematic unit, the emblematic building. Some emblematic buildings can be built multiple times, if I am remembered correctly. is kind of fuzzy because I played in the beta, and the beta you can just pop them out whenever, however many you wanted, and I believe that was changed. So we're going to quickly just run through these and make our selection. I guess at the start of next episode. So we're going to look through, take some time to think about the choices. You guys can comment below what empires you want me to choose, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so these guys, okay. Oh, so this is from the Africa pack. This is the Latin America pack. Okay, cool. So automatically upgrades regular outposts. So this field is a outpost replacement. So outposts can only be built once per territory, and this is your replacement to the outposts. And gets 10% food for adjacent cities. Okay, so for this, the Mapwai, pardon my terrible pronunciation, these fields on our outposts gain extra food for adjacent cities. So if you build one central city and you place these in a ring formation around that city, each of them gain 10 food for having a city adjacent. And even if you blend them, even if you merge them into your main city, you'll still get the bonuses because the building will remain as an outpost just attached to the city. Or if you have one city, one field, a next city, the field will gain 20 food because you'll have two adjacent cities. Yeah, and it is fortified, which means your units standing in it gain a fortification bonus. Their pioneers are also nomadic, 13 strength, 4 movement, 1 range, so they attack melee. So they are basically the tribes people that we have, just stronger, and they are also able to as nomads, able to grow from ransacking and fighting. There's the Carleans. They are competitive spirit, +1 food on farmers' quarters per adjacent farmer quarter. Same with industry on maker's quarter, money on market quarters, science on adjacent research quarters. So these guys kind of encourage building quarters in groups. So I'll explain quarters, I guess, next episode when we find some. Okay, they have plazas, which allow construction of new districts on adjacent tiles. Okay, -10 stability, which is an issue we'll tackle next episode. +2 faith per adjacent district. And healers, melee with plant lore. Knowledge of beneficial plants provide health regenerations outside of friendly territories to all units in their army. Okay, so as I would have mentioned last episode, nomadic units heal in neutral territory or extra in friendly territory when they're supplied. So once you come out of the nomadic era, you don't really get that healing unless you're in friendly territory, or I think just leaving friendly territory for like a few turns. But healers with plant lore, mind you, that's maybe some lore implications. They heal your units regardless of where they are. So, but it has to be a healer and another unit together. I don't know if the healer heals itself, or I guess if you have a team of 2 healers, each healer heals the healer. Okay. We have the Assyrians, which are raid masters. So +1 movement speed for land unit, +1 land movement speed for units. So all your units move one space further on land. +5 combat strength bonus when ransacking. So your armies are stronger when ransacking. So if you're ransacking an enemy outpost and they try to attack you to defend it, you have a bonus. There's the Dunu, which is +3 influence, a district fortification, combat strength for units adjacent to this district, and this district counts as a garrison district and a common quarter. Oh, what I didn't note is generally speaking, in Humankind, you can only build next to certain districts. So, and only certain districts can be built anywhere. So, you can, at the beginning, build adjacent to your capital. You late game get the ability to build districts that can be built anywhere as long as it doesn't clash with whatever building restrictions they have. And then some buildings can be built off of those. So you can have one cluster of districts, one place, one cluster, another place, one cluster, another place, just to maximize the amount of bonuses you are getting. Okay. We have the Assyrian Raiders, which are cavalry units and pillagers. So cavalry units ignore zone of control, and they're good for fighting. They're good for hunting down like archers in the back row. So you zoom past the melees, sneak past, hit the archers. But as you can see, it requires 1 horse. So 1 horse resource, which we have luckily spawned close to, so we can feasibly play as the Assyrians. And they have Pillager, which generates additional money when destroying outposts or independent camp. Okay, that's the other city-state stuff, the independent peoples, but we'll come to that. Egyptians, Grand Planners, +1 industry on tiles producing industry, and a 10% reduction to industry costs. Pyramids influence industry, minus stability, which is generally a trend for your emblematic district unless it replaces like an outpost, and very few give bonus to stability. Okay. +2 industry per adjacent maker's quarters, +1 worker slot. And then we have mounted archers, so 6 movement speed, 3 range, and they can move and fire. So perform a full move after making an attack. So you can attack, chip damage, retreat, but they require 2 horses and 1, I believe that's copper. We have the Harappans, which get +1 food on tiles producing food, and +1 food on river tiles. And then they have the canal network, which is food, minus stability, extra food on adjacent farmers' quarters, +1 farmer slots on cities, and the building counts as a farmer's quarter. We have the runners, which is just a upgraded version of the scout, the tribal scouts. So they ignore movement penalties from forests. So I believe forests take 2 movement to travel through. Rivers take all your movement unless otherwise stated. Regular plains just take 1 movement cost. So these guys can move 5 tiles outside of rivers per turn, and they're ever so slightly stronger. The Hittites, +1 combat strength on units, so all your units are just a bit stronger. +20 food, industry, money, and science on each city owned per occupied city. So I guess this is a this is a wartime civ, well, culture. So if you start as the Hittites, whenever you're at war and you take an enemy city, while you're at war, you are occupying that city until the war is done and each side decides whether you keep the city or give it back. So while you're at war, once you own an occupied city, you get 20 of your basic food, industry, money, science. I think the Humankind team refers to this as your FIMS. Your food, industry, money, science. So you get plus 20 FIMS per occupied city. So if you take 6 occupied cities, that is 120 of everything. There's their emblematic district, which is fortification, money, and automatically upgrades regular outposts. So this is just a straight up outpost replacement. Can be used as a land spawn, which is a thing you get for garrisons, like forts you can build, and your units by default start in your city. So you build a unit in the city, it spawns in the city. Later down, you can have them spawn at forts. So if your fort is on, if you have a city that spans maybe 5 territories and you have a fort at the end of the territory, instead of spawning it in the middle of your empire, you can spawn it at an end. Okay. Plus 20 head regeneration on unit in territory. Okay, so having this gives your units extra healing in the territory. And these guys are heavy cavalry with suppression. So target units cannot move the next turn. So if these guys hit an enemy, the enemy cannot run, which is useful when you're trying to just like target a specific enemy and just get them, well, prevent them from retreating. And they are heavy cavalry, so they are the stronger forms of cavalry. The Mycenaeans, the Nubians, the Olmecs, the Phoenicians, the Zoe, the Babylonians. So we'll quickly go through these guys and end the episode, and I'll give you guys the opportunity to take a pick if you feel if you have any strong feelings towards any of these civilizations. And then I'll take a quick pan around what we've discovered to see if that kind of helps sway you a bit. We have the Nubians. The Nubians get plus 5 money on luxury resources and plus 5 money on strategic resources. So horses count as strategic resources because you use them to build units and build some buildings, I believe, require strategic resources. Luxury resources, think gold, tea, coffee, precious metals, well, gems, those kind of things. So those give empire bonuses, so you get extra stability, and late game you get extra bonuses outside of stability. Well, I think you get each luxury resource is a stability boost plus some extra boost, and late game you get extra boosts. You have the Moray pyramids, industry money minus stability, more money per maker's quarters, and it counts as a maker's and a market, so you can get adjacency bonuses for those two. The Thai City archers, which are ranged units which have exceptional accuracy, can shoot targets without having clear line of sight. So usually you need line of sight, so I can't really shoot arrows over a mountain unless you are exceptionally accurate. Okay, Olmecs. Plus 3 influence on territory. Just straight up, more territories you have, more influence you get. Olmec like heads, +1 influence, +3 food, minus stability, +1 influence per adjacent farmers market. Well, farmers quarter counts as a farmers quarter. And you have their units, which are javelin throwers. So stronger in forest tiles. Simple enough. Phoenicians, 20 +2 money per traders. So all your traders are worth more. Increase combat on naval units. Sorry about that. Increase combat on naval units. Increase movement speed on naval units. And combat strength and speed on naval transport units. So those are boats specifically made to help get your units from point A to point B faster. The Haven, which is minus stability, extra goal per coastal and lake, adjacent coastal or lake. So you build this on the lake, on the seaside, and the more sea tiles you have adjacent, the more money you get. It counts as a farmer's quarter and a market. And then you have the Byreme, which is a naval transport unit. A ranged combat naval unit must have line of sight to attack. Replaces land unit which embark to travel across oceans. So yeah, you have your naval transports and you have your naval units. Naval units strictly water based. So there are boats built to fight over the water. Naval transport units are replacements to your land units when they want to get from point A to point B, when point B involves passing a lake, a sea, or an ocean. So any like deep body of water. So you can build boats, naval combat units, but you can't venture over the sea unless you have a naval transport unlocked. So you can there's a small point in the game where you can build boats, venture out with them, but you can't get your units over the sea, your land units over the sea. And navigator, damage by consecutive turns spent in deep water. So yeah, deep water is a big issue in the early game because you can only move so far over deep water without damage to the boats, which yeah, in the olden days you couldn't really travel across the Atlantic in a kayak. It's not viable. So this is a kind of ability that simulates that whole you can't spend too long in deep water kind of vibe. Okay, last we're going to skip the Babylonians because somebody already selected it, which means we don't have a pick anyway. The Zhou, +2 stability on districts, so straight up. As you see, most emblematic districts, and I believe most districts in general, cost you stability, and stability is a key part of empires. We'll get to that. The Confucian School, which is +8 stability, so that combined with their harmonious thought gives +10 stability to your city. Science per adjacent mounting, research slots, and it counts as a research quarter. Their emblematic unit, which I won't even attempt to pronounce, is a heavy cavalry with the ability Meditate of Heaven. Combat bonus when stability is high. So the higher your stability in your empire, the more combat damage they do. Okay, so quick run through of the text so everybody can make a decent assessment as to what they think we should go with next. And feel free to scroll back in the video to get a we never checked out the Promatroy. melee units champions, and they are stronger the first round of combat. So the whole combat takes multiple turns thing, yeah, these guys are strongest on the very first turn of combat, and they are pretty strong units to begin with. Okay, Nubians, Olmecs, Phoenicians, Zhao, and then okay, so this is us, this is me, this is we. There are a handful of errors, and this is plant lore, the legacy trait that we selected. Okay, so yeah, this is what what the empire can look like. Okay, this is what our empire can look like. Feel free. We have a few mountains, we have a lot of plains, flatlands, a decent river space, well, ocean sea space. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of the series so far. Let me know what empire you guys want us to try out. And with that, I bid you guys adieu. Peace, love, tranquility, and see you next time.